All right, now let's use some stylized examples to get at the problem here. Let's say we haven't controlled for anything. We have 12 Democrats represented here on the left, this circle, and we have 12 Republicans represented here on the right in this circle. And of the 12 Democrats, 7 of the 12 favor gun control, and of the Republicans, 5 of 12 favor gun control. So we're looking at a percentage, I guess the percentage of Democrats here is about 58% favor control, and the percentage of Republicans is 42, 43%. So if we are doing this simple comparison, we would want to conclude, we'd say, well, the uncontrolled relationship shows that partisanship is having an effect. Now here's how spuriousness can make us think we're looking at a genuine relationship when in fact we are not. We're looking at something that's created by a large compositional difference. Here are the same 12 Democrats and the same 12 Republicans, but now we are representing their genders as well. And of course these are stylized examples, so I've made it very plain. Look at the Democrats. There are 12 Democrats, 8 of them are women. All right? Go over to the Republicans. There are 12 Republicans, only 4 of them are women. So from the beginning here, we are dealing with a very large compositional difference. We're comparing a group that is comprised of 2/3 are women, and over here we're looking at a group where only 1/3 are women. So that's the XZ relationship, the large compositional difference. Well, so what? The so what is the compositional difference also is very strongly related to the dependent variable gun control. Overall, if you add up all the women, we've got 6, 9 of the total 12 women are in favor of gun control. That's what's that, 75% of all the females represented in this graphic are pro-control, and you've got only 3 of the 12 males overall that are pro-control, so that's like 25%. So not only is there a large compositional difference, but there's a very strong relationship between Z, gender, and the dependent variable. Now let me say a few more things about the diagram, then a couple of follow-up slides will clarify. What percentage of female Democrats are in favor of control? Well, we've got 6 out of 8, which is 75% of female Democrats are in favor of control, and then you've got 3 out of 4 of the female Republicans, which is also 75%. So if you hold gender constant for females and you move across values of partisanship, there's no effect of partisanship. The same percentages of women in both parties favor control. Same for men. You got 25% of the male Democrats favor control. That's 1 out of 4, and 2 out of 8 for Republicans. That's also 25%. So what's the effect of partisanship on gun control opinions for women? Is 0. 75% versus 75%. What's the effect of partisanship on gun control opinions for men? 0. It's 25%, 25%. The whole relationship is being artificially produced by this huge compositional difference and this very strong relationship between gender and gun control opinions. Now let's give some graphic support to this. Let's graph this set of relationships. Here's what a multiple line chart looks like of the relationship that we just discussed. Here are the females. Every person along this line, or between these 2 points, Democrat and Republican, is a female. So we look at the percentage of female Democrats who support control, 75%. 75% of Republican females support control. You know, if I could have put like a bubble chart on this to show the numbers of females, the bubble over here would be very large and the bubble over here would be much smaller, but taking that into account, partisanship is just having no leverage. It's not having any effect as you move from Democrat to Republican among females. Same for males. Here's that 25% of Democrats who favor, 25% of Republican males who favor. And if I did the bubbles again, it'd be a small bubble over here representing fewer male Democrats and a larger bubble over here representing male Republicans, but taking that into account, there's no effect. All of the relationship, all of the graphic space here that is being explained, if you will, lies along the differences between the lines, or is represented by the differences between the lines, which is just a huge gender gap on this issue with no partisanship effect at all. All right, now let's take a look at something very different, an additive set of relationships. Here are the circles again. Without getting too far down in the weeds here, let's just let's just see if there's a compositional difference. As we move from Democrats to Republicans, that's the first thing to look for. How else do these two groups differ besides partisanship? Is gender an answer to that question? And it is not. I mean, over here we see that, let's see, 6 of the 12 Democrats are females, okay? And then 6 of the 12 Republicans are females. So right away, we don't have to worry as much now about spuriousness. We don't have to worry about spuriousness at all because we have no compositional difference across values of X. And that's a good thing. Now, what else is going on here? If we look at the females, look at female Democrats. What percentage are in favor of gun control? Well, it looks like 4 of 6, which is what, 66, 67% are in favor of control. Now let's look at the females on the Republican side. 3 of 6, so 50% are in favor of control. So as we hold gender constant among females and we move from Democrat to Republican, we do see a partisan effect. That is, the female Democrats, percentage-wise, are about 17 percentage points more likely to favor control than the female Republicans. All right, let's see what happens with the men. Let's go over to males here. 2 of 6, which is about 33% of the male Democrats are in favor. And over here, support among the male Republicans is very low. It's 1 of 6, which would be about 16%, let's say. So we go from about a third, 33% to 16%. It's another 17-point effect for males on the basis of partisanship. Gender, and this of course is the linchpin point here, does not define a compositional difference across the values of partisanship. 50% of Democrats are females, 50% of the Republicans are females, so we have therefore a compositional difference that's not a difference. It's just a compositional parameter. The parties are equal in terms of their gender composition. And a point I did not emphasize, gender overall is related to gun control opinions. We could go back and review that, but if you look at all the females that were represented in that diagram and look at all the males that were represented, 58% of females are pro-control and 25% of males are pro-control. So gender is not related to partisanship in this representation. So if we had a relationship between Z and X and we're trying to represent it, we just wouldn't we would say, well, they're just unrelated. There's no arrow or there's no line between them. And on the other hand, Z is a cause of Y. So it's acting independently to affect values of Y. The signature of additive relationships is that the effect of X on Y, in this case partisanship on gun control opinions, has the same strength and runs in the same direction for both values of the control. That is, it runs in the same direction because Democrats are more likely to favor control than Republicans, and it has the same strength because both effects are 17 points. There's a symmetry there to all additive relationships. Here's what the line chart looks like, and it's see how much more beautiful this looks than the spurious representation. Here again are the women, and this is the effect as you trace along the line's dropping for women. That means that partisanship is having an effect. It's producing a gradient for women. You know, would someone say, well, isn't gender causing this? No, it can't be, since everyone's a female. Then down here, we see the same strength of the effect, about a 17-point drop for males as you read along the line from Democrat to Republican. The distance between the lines is the effect of Z on Y. You can see this large gender gap for Democrats and an equally large gender gap for Republicans. All right, now let's look at something that's asymmetrical but very interesting. You know, we've just gotten sort of into the habit of looking at compositional differences and effects on Y. Let's just focus this discussion. Focus on the effect of partisanship among women and the effect of partisanship among men. Let's look at female Democrats. There are 7 female Democrats. 4 of the 7, which is about 57% of female Democrats, are in favor of control. 4 of the 7. Let's look at female Republicans. Well, 2 of the 4 female Republicans, which is 50%. So if you're just looking at women and you're trying to determine the effect of partisanship, you would say, well, it's going from 57% here to 50% here. Does partisanship have an effect for women? Yes. Subtract 50 from 57 and you get a 7-point effect. Now, let's switch to men. We've got 5 male Democrats. 3 of 5, which is 60% of the male Democrats, are in favor of control. 60%. And we come over here, 3 of 8 male Republicans, which is about 38%. So for men, we're going from 60%, 3 of 5, all the way down to 38% in favor among Republicans. So what does this mean? Well, the effect for men, if you subtract those two percentages, you see a 22-point effect of partisanship for men. So the effect for women is noticeable. You know, this is not counterintuitive. There's an effect of about 7 points for women, but the effect for men is much more pronounced. We're looking at an effect, a percentage point difference of 22 points. So does partisanship affect gun control opinions the same way for men and women? Well, yes and no. The yes part is yes, in that Democratic women are more in favor than Republican women. But no, in that the size of the effect is much smaller for women than for men. 7 points versus 22 points. That's a fairly common form of interaction. Well, the confusing thing about interaction is it can assume many forms. Now here's a line chart. Interaction line charts can often be very interesting, and this is a line chart of the relationship we just discussed. Here's the female line. Let's trace the women first. That point there is 57% of female Democrats, and it drops about 7 points to 50% among female Republicans. So we see this sort of mild slope. It's not zero. It's not flat. I mean, the partisanship is having an effect, but it's much weaker than this huge 22-point drop for men. Interestingly, I mean, there's always something interesting about interaction. Notice in the way I've represented it here in this example that for Democrats, there's a small gender gap, and it's a reverse gender gap here. You know, we've got Democratic males even more strongly in favor of control than Democratic females. So the lines cross. It's sort of a very exotic when they do. And of course, among Republicans, there's just an enormous gender gap. So again, if someone were to say, what's the effect of partisanship on gun control opinions controlling for gender, you have to give a different answer depending on the values of the control. The effect of X on Y depends on the value of the control variable, gender.